What would you do if a dying wild horse looked into your eyes and chose to trust you completely? A chance encounter in the wilderness turned into a life-changing bond between man and horse, proving that even in the darkest moments, trust can spark hope. It was just another crisp September morning when Ethan Carter, a wildlife photographer and conservationist, set out for his usual hike through the remote backcountry of the Blue Ridge Mountains. He had spent over 30 years exploring these rugged trails, capturing the raw beauty of nature with his camera and heart. That day, he was tracking elk migration patterns, something routine, something familiar, until he stumbled upon a hidden valley he'd never seen before. The entrance was narrow, squeezed between two massive boulders, as if nature herself had tried to keep this place secret. Curiosity tugged at him, so Ethan pushed through the gap, stepping into a world that felt untouched by time. The air was still, the sunlight filtered through ancient pines, and the sound of a gentle stream filled the silence like music. It was peaceful, too peaceful. Then he saw it. In the center of the valley, lying motionless beside the stream, was a magnificent Mustang stallion. His once glossy coat was dull, matted, and caked with dirt. His ribs were visible beneath his skin, and his breathing was so shallow. Ethan thought at first he was looking at a carcass. "God!" Ethan whispered, dropping his camera bag without thinking. He approached slowly, heart pounding. As an experienced outdoorsman, he knew the signs. This horse was starving, dehydrated, near death. How long had he been trapped here? And how had he gotten in this condition, in a place that seemed to have plenty of water and grass? As Ethan knelt beside the stallion, he expected the usual reaction: fear, panic, maybe even a kick or a bite. But what happened next stunned him. The horse opened his eyes. Not wide, not panicked, just enough. And then, very slowly, he turned his head toward Ethan. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Ethan didn't see fear. He saw recognition. It was as if the horse had been waiting for him. "You've been alone for a long time, haven't you?" Ethan said softly, voice trembling slightly. "You're not afraid of me." Instead of pulling away, the stallion reached forward and gently pressed his muzzle against Ethan's outstretched hand. It was a gesture so full of trust, so unexpected from a wild animal on the brink of death, that Ethan felt tears well up. "I'm going to help you," he promised, though he had no idea how. His satellite phone had no signal down there. He was miles from the nearest trail. The horse couldn't walk, let alone be carried out. And yet, Ethan knew he couldn't leave. Not now. Not after that look. So he stayed. He gave the stallion small sips of water from his bottle, using a collapsible cup to make sure he didn't choke. He broke up his emergency trail bars, soaked them in water, and fed the mush carefully into the horse's mouth. To his amazement, the stallion accepted everything willingly, not with desperation, but with gratitude. He even made soft, nickering sounds, like he was trying to talk back. He's trying to communicate, Ethan realized aloud, watching the horse's eyes follow his every movement. Like he understands me. Hours passed. Ethan talked to the stallion, telling stories about his past adventures, explaining what he was doing, why he had to leave later to get help. The horse listened. His ears twitched. His gaze never wavered. When it was time to go, Ethan stood up slowly. The stallion let out a low, mournful whinny. "I'll come back," Ethan said firmly, kneeling one last time. "I promise." He placed his hand on the horse's neck, and then, the most unforgettable moment of his life, the stallion pressed his muzzle gently against Ethan's chest, right over his heart. That night, the 10-mile trek out felt longer than ever. Every step pulled him further from the valley, from the horse who had trusted him more than anyone else ever had. As soon as he got signal, Ethan called Dr. Naomi Hartley, a veterinarian specializing in large animal rescue. She was skeptical. Horses in that condition usually didn't survive, but Ethan insisted. "There's something different about him," he told her. "He's not just surviving, he's fighting." Naomi agreed to come, bringing medical supplies and expertise. Ethan also called Lena Torres, a helicopter pilot and animal rescue expert who had helped him before. Getting a horse out of such a remote location was nearly impossible, but Lena was willing to try. They all met early the next morning, and Ethan led them back into the valley. And there, waiting where he had left him, was the stallion, alive, more alert. And when he saw Ethan return, he lifted his head and whinnied, a clear, joyful greeting. "I told you I'd come back," Ethan said, kneeling beside him again, overwhelmed. Over the next few hours, they stabilized the horse, giving him specialized nutrition and 4 fluids. Every step of the way, the stallion cooperated, allowing touch, accepting treatment, leaning into Ethan for support. "He's not acting like a wild horse," Dr. Hartley observed, watching the stallion rest his head on Ethan's shoulder during a painful injection. "He's seeking comfort." By late afternoon, they began the 2-mile trek to the extraction point. It took 4 hours. Every step was hard. The stallion was weak, shaking, exhausted, but he kept going. Whenever he faltered, he looked at Ethan and somehow found the strength to continue. At the extraction point, the real test came, getting the horse into the helicopter. Helicopter noise terrified most animals. Even trained horses often panicked. But the stallion? He pressed closer to Ethan, seeking reassurance. When the harness was fitted around his body, he didn't struggle. When he felt himself being lifted off the ground, he stretched his neck toward Ethan, reaching for connection, even as he rose into the sky. Ethan rode with him in the helicopter, whispering the entire time, "You're safe. You're going to be okay." The flight was smooth. The stallion remained calm. At the veterinary hospital, the staff was stunned. "This is unheard of," said Dr. Marcus Hale, head of equine medicine. "Wild horses under stress like this usually require sedation, restraints. But he's cooperating like a domesticated pet." Day by day, the stallion improved. He gained strength. His appetite returned. His spirit remained strong. And he never stopped looking for Ethan. 3 days into his recovery, Dr. Hale sat down with Ethan. "We need to talk about what happens next," she said. "This horse has bonded with you. Releasing him back into the wild might break both of you." Ethan had already decided. "He saved my life as much as I saved his," he said quietly. "We belong together." 6 months later, Ethan bought a small ranch near the mountains. He named the stallion Orion after the constellation that guides lost travelers. And Orion became more than companion. He became a healer. Animals arrived at the ranch, injured, traumatized, broken. A fawn refused to eat. A fox wouldn't leave its cage. An owl was too scared to fly. Each time, Orion approached them gently, calmly. Somehow, he knew exactly what they needed. Word spread. Researchers came. Veterinarians. Wildlife rangers. Everyone wanted to understand how a wild Mustang could connect so deeply with other animals and with humans. Dr. Hartley published papers about it. Dr. Hale studied their interactions. And Ethan? He changed. He used to believe in keeping emotional distance from wildlife. Objectivity mattered more than connection. But Orion taught him otherwise. "You don't lose yourself in connection," Ethan told a National Geographic reporter. "You find yourself." One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Ethan stood by the fence watching Orion graze peacefully. The stallion lifted his head, walked over, and pressed his muzzle gently against Ethan's chest, just like he had in the valley, just like he always did. Because some bonds aren't formed through time. They're formed through trust, through choice, through a single moment when two souls recognize each other and decide to fight for each other. Moral lesson. Sometimes the greatest acts of courage are not in fighting back, but in choosing to trust when everything seems lost. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Like this video and share it with someone who needs a reminder that compassion can change lives, human and animal alike. Comment below and tell us about a time when an animal surprised you or showed you something you'll never forget. Your story might inspire our next incredible journey. Thank you for joining us on this emotional adventure. And remember, sometimes the most powerful connections begin not with words, but with a simple act of trust.